Yo, what's up guys? Last month was Arcane 1 year anniversary and that's why I'm making a video to celebrate this moment. Today I'm going to share some knowledge about intrusive thoughts and Jinx and other buddies are going to help us. So let's begin. First, a bit introduction about Jinx. Being one of the most popular characters, Jinx has a very traumatic childhood. When she was young, her parents were being killed by the Enforcer, and although she was abducted by Vander, she was always being mocked by her bigger brother Milo when she failed the mission, and they lived together in a very tough environment. But luckily, her biological sister Y cared for her a lot. However, in one incident, she accidentally bombed and killed all her adoptive family, and her sister left her. Because of this traumatic childhood, she grew up hearing a lot of voices in her head, which many will say this is a sign of psychosis. Although not quite the same, we all have a very similar experience, which is intrusive thoughts. It is an unwelcome thought or image that enters your mind and is mostly out of your control. There is a difference between inner voice and inner thought, because you might have inner thought, but it doesn't mean that you have the inner voice where you can hear your own voice or someone else's voices expressing that.
She was there for me, not the enforcer.
There are good and bad voices in Jinx's mind, but don't get me wrong, there are no inherently good or bad voices, but if the voice is more critical, mean, and even abusive, like you are not worth living and you should go die, then we might consider it as a bad voices. In Jinx's mind, the source of bad voice is the hallucination of her dead brother Milo talking to her, and Milo who was the one always being mean to her when she was a child. There are two themes of the negative voice. The first one is fear of abandonment. Jinx will say something like, "She came for me, not the enforcer. I didn't lose her, they took her. It was just a goodbye hug. She wouldn't do that, not again." Jinx's fear of being abandoned by someone she loved, like Y, and this fear comes from the traumatic events where Y left her after she accidentally killed the family and deterred her the most. And the second theme is fear of judgment. When Jinx failed to wipe out the firelights, she heard Milo's voices saying that she is very weak, and Jinx rebutted by saying that "I'm not weak, I will prove to you all." And obviously, this fear comes from the childhood memories where she always failed the mission and being mocked by Milo. Now, you might see the patterns of the negative voices in Jinx's mind, where they can really be traced back to the past, especially childhood times. And this is true. The events that happened during childhood have a more significant impact on our entire life compared with events that happen during adulthood. But luckily, Jinx do have good voice in her head, and the source of good voice is her sister Y, the one who loved her and always had her back. When Jinx was young, Y always told her things like, "Powder, you are stronger than you think. You are good at this. We all have bad days, but we learn and stick together." And this is what kept Jinx alive all these years, even though Y was not with her. But the negative voice started to grow up Jinx's mind more and more often, and it started when she saw a girl and mistook her as Y. Then she reunited with Y, but she saw Caitlyn and she felt betrayed and very insecure, thought that Y might not love her anymore. These voices start to get overhand every time after she saw Y and Caitlyn together. And now we will review Jinx's coping strategies with the negative voices. So how she deal with the negative voices when they appear. And the two strategies that Jinx used are denial and suppression. She denied that Y has special feelings toward Caitlyn, and she also denied that she actually cared a lot about this. When she said she cannot remember Caitlyn's name, but she remembered. because she was worried that Catelyn would talk Y away from her. She suppressed the voices by telling them to shut up or shoot them. And she learned these strategies from her second adoptive father, Zuko. According to Jinx, Zuko always told her, "Exercise your dumb, Jinx. Be what that fear, Jinx. You need to let powder die so the fear of pain will no longer control you." But in fact, this strategy doesn't really work, especially when Jinx is dealing with the immense grief and trauma of killing her family or being abandoned by her sister. The more you push, the more it comes, until you cannot deny or suppress them. Therefore, in the bridge scenes later, when she saw Y ran back and tried to save Catelyn, she felt so hurt and said that Y was a liar. And she felt even more heartbreaking when she had to fight her best childhood friend, Echo. All these pains adds up and she just want it to stop. So she pulled the pin and let it roll to her side. Zuko told Jinx to kill Catelyn, but Jinx hesitated, and then Y tried to stop her by telling her to recall who she is. However, they also reminded her of the traumatic past when Y mentioned all the names of the family members Jinx had killed. All the big monsters represents the monstrous, negative inner voices that tore Jinx apart, as she was so helpless and what she could do was to cuddle up like a kid. But isn't Jinx said that Y voice was in her head, protecting her all these years? Yes, but now who is reminding her of the traumatic events? Is Y. To Jinx, Y was the one who chased all the monsters away from her. But now, she brought all the monsters to her. So at first, the voice in Jinx's head are balanced. But now, since Y said something so cruel to her, the positive voice in Jinx's head is gone, and the balance is disrupted. The negative voices will become more and more monstrous and eat up her conscience, eventually make her lose control. Zuko understood her pain and wanted to take Y down to stop all of this, but Jinx lashed out and accidentally killed him. Jinx killed the one who loved her unconditionally as a father, and Y made Jinx again. So you can see how powerful words are. They can form voices in someone's head, can either put one down or lift one up at some point, or even more than that. In the books, Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, the author described how a general litmus test of a client's readiness to be discharged from therapy was when they had internalized their therapy voices and were able to apply it to various situations. Just like how Jinx had internalized Y voices keep telling her that she's great, she's stronger than she thinks. This also showed that Y really did a good job as a sister. I cannot wait to see how their path will cross again in season 2. That's the end of this video. If you like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hopefully I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.